To all you Xenoblade Chronicles X newcomers who are going to be jumping into this game for the very first time this March with the Definitive Edition, I gotta say, I'm jealous of you guys. And I am doubly jealous of you guys if you are coming into this game having had experience from the two blockbuster amazing games on the Switch, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Because these two styles of games, this open world Xenoblade game and the open air Zelda games, have a lot more in common than you might think, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video today. Hey guys, Nishquick here, and as many of you guys know, I love both the Legend of Zelda series as well as the Xenoblade Chronicles series, and I started thinking to myself, there are over 50 million people who have been lost in the world of Hyrule in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and I feel like a lot of those people, if they come into Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition this March with a very open mind and with the willingness to try something a little bit new, I think there's going to be a lot of things that scratch that open air Zelda itch for them. In addition to that, I do want to discuss how this game, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, is going to be a little bit different from the other Xenoblade games. I know a lot of other channels have made videos like that, shoutouts to all those people, because there's a lot of stuff in Xenoblade X that is very different from the numbered Klaus saga games, but it also does tie back to the enjoyment that we get from these Zelda games, and also what we get from the numbered Xenoblade games as well in general. So if you guys are excited for Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, if you enjoy open world games, open world RPGs, and even the Legend of Zelda games on the Nintendo Switch, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Like I've been saying, I'm trying to hit 3,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Let's see how long it takes to get there, hopefully even before the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. Anyways, let's dive into this video. So, do you guys remember how it felt like for you guys when you first explored the Great Plateau or the Great Sky Island? And even after that, when you get your paraglider and you're allowed to just jump into the world of Hyrule, and right when you finish the Great Sky Island, you just jump off the giant Sky Island and skydive straight down onto the surface. Those are feelings that are very rare in video games, and they just make you feel like you're in this living, breathing, expansive, and immersive world. And I have to say, you guys may not believe me when I say this, but I did get many of those feelings when I was playing Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U. And a lot of my friends have told me, hey, dude, like, why are you comparing these two games? There's so much different. Like, in Xenoblade X, you're not building vehicles, you're not playing around with the physics with your Sheikah Slate or your arm abilities, and you're not solving puzzles in dungeons and shrines, and yeah, obviously you aren't. But the thing that ties these games together is the exploration. Do you guys remember in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, almost every single place you go, every single area or point of interest you explore, there's something to do, there's something to interact with, there's something to see and admire and maybe even fight or collect or explore. There's so much to do in this living, breathing world, and you feel that as well in Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Not only with your frontier nav goals that you're trying to check off, but it's in the little things. Sometimes in a place like Oblivia, you might find a random cave. You'll find some random enemies you've never fought before, and eventually that will lead you to more treasure, more quests, and more things to do in the map. Likewise, maybe way later in the game, you might return to the early area continent of Primordia, and a side quest might take you into a whole different area on the map you've never explored before. And even with more exploration, you might find secret areas that are very, very difficult to get to, and those can lead to so much more experience, battle points, and providing you the thrill of finding new areas to explore in this gigantic planet. And of course, Xenoblade Chronicles X also has the Frontier Nav system. And a lot of people might even look at this Frontier Nav system and see all these hexagons, see all these points of interest, and be like, hey, isn't this indicative of like a Ubisoft thing where like it's telling you where to go, it's telling you where things are, telling you what to do? Well, I would counter against that. And that's something that the Zelda series prides itself on, but in a very different way. If you open up your Sheikah Slate map in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, you don't see anything. All you see are your shrines and your towers, which is good. You might see like location names of things here and there, and that's sort of the same in Xenoblade X, but with Xenoblade X, these hexagons are giving you a general idea of what is in that area. When you get into that hexagon, it is up to you to find where that tyrant / unique monster is. It's up to you to find out where that affinity quest is. It's up to you to find that treasure that is being noted on the map. And it's up to you to find all these data probes so you can explore more of the map, you can find more Frontier Nav things to do, and it just overall helps with your progression in this vast and expansive game. And this reminds me of something I've heard a lot of game designers and a lot of game analysts and reviewers talk about. It's the 40-second rule, I think. It's something that I've heard people talk about in regards to games like even The Witcher 3, where if you're exploring an open world, every 40 seconds or so, there should be something that catches your attention. There is something that should probably make you want to take a detour and explore and maybe just see what's going on in that area to keep you interested and to keep you engaged throughout this open world exploration adventure. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom do that very, very well. Especially in Tears of the Kingdom, I realized I was getting sidetracked so much in that game, and the more I got sidetracked, the more I realized that I forgot what my primary goal was in the beginning of my play session. And that happens all the time in Xenoblade Chronicles X, and especially when you get your Skell, once you start driving around, once you start flying around, you're going to realize that you're exploring this planet in a much faster and a much quicker way, and it makes you want to do so many more things, explore so many more places, find more things to do, find more treasures, fight more enemies, and it's just so much fun. And one final thing I want to talk about with the exploration of these games and the world and the size and the scope with these three games is the fact that it is entirely seamless. The exploration, the traveling, the entire map and the world is seamless. So if you guys remember in Breath of the Wild, you can start at the Great Plateau and you can go all the way up to the Hebra region. I remember even Eiji Numa said that when we first saw the game, and he was pointing out to the mountains and the horizon. He said, you can go there. There's nothing stopping you from going there, and that is true. No loading points unless you're doing fast travel. No hitches or no glitches and no barriers to get from point A to point B. If it's from the most southern point of the map all the way to the northern point of the map, you can do it. Similarly, in Tears of the Kingdom, you can start from the Great Sky Island and go all the way down to the deepest point in the map in the depths. No loading screens, no glitches, no hitches, no barriers, no nothing. But if you guys are fans of the Xenoblade series, you might know that when you explore different areas, when you go to different places, when you go to different regions, especially in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, there are loading screens and there are transitions from one part of the map to another, which is a little annoying, but I will tell you this, and this is kind of mind-blowing. On the Wii U, Xenoblade Chronicles X did this, and it did it even before Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. You can start from the starting point of New LA, and you can take your Skell, fly it all the way to the northernmost point of Sylvalum, go even as far up as Cauldros if you have the strength, the stamina, the power, and the courage to do so. There's nothing stopping you, no barriers, no loading screens, no glitches or hitches or anything, unless you're fast traveling, unless you get into a quest or do something like that, or if an enemy kills you or something like that. Of course, you're gonna have loading screens and pauses and if you run into a situation like that, but this is as open world of a game as something like a Skyrim or a Witcher 3 or a Red Dead Redemption 2, or like I'm comparing to in this video, a Breath of the Wild and a Tears of the Kingdom. So with all these aspects, I really hope that a lot of Zelda fans who enjoyed Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom can give Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition a shot. I know it's got a lot of RPG systems, a lot of complicated gameplay stuff, and big barrier of entry when it comes to combat, but I will tell you, if you really sit down and understand this game, accept it, really just kind of learn the systems of this game, and the rewarding aspect of that, coupled in with the seamless open world, the fact that you can go wherever you want, there's so much to do, so much to explore, I think it could really scratch the itch of a lot of Zelda fans who were wanting a new open world Zelda game, a new open air Zelda experience, but we're probably not going to get that in a very long time. This is something you should try out, and this is a very good starting point for the Xenoblade Chronicles series. It's not really going to be connected to the other 3 games. Maybe the epilogue will tie into the Klaus games, but the point is, this game is so far removed from the story from the numbered Xenoblade games that it's not really a bad idea to start with Xenoblade Chronicles X. Many of my friends have started with Xenoblade Chronicles X, and that was their gateway to get into other games like Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3. And the other piece of connecting tissue in this is the fact that all 3 of these games are developed by probably my favorite video game developers working in the industry right now, and the star of Nintendo first-party development, and that is Monolith Soft. I've made many videos on the channel talking about how prominent Monolith Soft is when it comes to Nintendo and Nintendo Switch first-party development, and you can truly see this in Xenoblade Chronicles X, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom. Let me give you a little bit of a history lesson real quick. So, Xenoblade Chronicles X came out in 2015 on the Wii U, and that is 2 years before Breath of the Wild even came out on the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch. And a lot of people don't realize this, but Xenoblade Chronicles X was the first official modern open world video game that Nintendo ever made. And you might be like, hey, well, Nishquick, you know, The Legend of Zelda on the NES is an open world game, and you can argue that Ocarina of Time is an open world game, and yeah, I totally get that. Even Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii is technically like an open world game, but what I mean by modern open world game is like what I've been talking about previously in this video. No loading screens, seamless exploration, lots of things to do and explore on the map, and on top of that, maybe even a little bit of a focus on the gameplay and exploration rather than the story. So yeah, Monolith Soft really pushed the limits of the Nintendo Wii U and really got this game to push the system to its limits and really showcase what they were capable of. And the Zelda team with EPD3 noticed this, and them having very ambitious ideas for the future of the Zelda series, they had Monolith Soft come on board and be like, hey, we need your help to design this map, we need your help to make this very immersive and very enjoyable and very engaging for the player when they're going to be spending hundreds and hundreds of hours in the land of Hyrule. And even beyond that, they really needed their help to have that seamless integration of the sky, the surface, and the depths in Tears of the Kingdom, because you can sort of see where that all came from in Xenoblade Chronicles X. The verticality of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, especially Tears of the Kingdom, is heavily prominent in Xenoblade X, with your skells and the mechs that you're flying around. And of course, like I mentioned before, the Frontier Nav system gave way to allow for the Zelda team to incorporate a lot of good, engaging exploration elements into Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So I hope you guys get what I mean when I say that these 3 games share a lot of the same DNA, and a lot of that essence of open-air Zelda can be traced back to Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U. And now it feels so great that so many Zelda fans who either got introduced to the Legend of Zelda series with the Nintendo Switch or just fell in love with the open-air style can get their chance to see where it all started with Xenoblade Chronicles X and this gigantic and gargantuan immersive world of Mira. And you know what else is gigantic, or would be gigantic, I guess? That is my gratitude to you if you give this video a like, because so many people are excited for Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, and I want this video to not only reach out to the Xenoblade fans, but maybe even the Zelda fans as well, and to get to those Zelda fans and to get to all those new Xenoblade Chronicles fans, it's gonna be an amazing, immense help if you give this video a like, and like I said, my gratitude to you will be so strong. And of course, not only that, but like I said, I'm trying to hit 3,000 subscribers as soon as possible, so while you're at it, when you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button too, so you don't miss another video on Xenoblade Chronicles X and Nintendo Switch and JRPGs. Anyways, there's one more thing I want to talk about in this video before I close things out, and it's the fact that The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and even Xenoblade Chronicles X to an extent are not as focused on the story, but rather more on the exploration and the gameplay. And I talked about the exploration and the gameplay a lot earlier in this video, but in terms of the story, as many of you guys might know, the Xenoblade series is very prominently known for its very immersive, very impactful, emotional, and just epic storytelling. And you can kind of say that for the Zelda series as well. I have been saying that for the Zelda series for like the past 15 years I've been playing these games. Only now I've been realizing that people are saying, oh, the Zelda series is not as strong with the story, it's not as story focused, and that's a little interesting to me, but that's a topic for another time. As many of you guys might know, I don't necessarily hate the stories in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but they're not the strong point of those games for me, and they're not even the strongest stories in the Zelda series in my opinion, and they kind of held the games back a little bit. And some people even say that for Xenoblade Chronicles X when comparing it to all the numbered Xenoblade Chronicles games. And yeah, I can sort of agree, but honestly, that might be a little bit of a benefit to some people. You know, some people just want to jump into these games and get immersed in the world and the side quests and the combat and the exploration, and if there's no story to kind of guide you through that with a game like this, then that's totally a drawing point for you. That's totally something that could potentially draw you in. Like, I'm thinking back to my experience with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and there are sessions and probably even like weeks and months I've put into the game that I didn't do anything story focused, and those gaps with not doing anything story focused go even longer with Xenoblade X. Like, I remember there were probably multiple months and almost like a year where I didn't do anything story focused because I just wanted to explore the map, complete the Frontier Nav missions, do some affinity missions, do some affinity quests and some basic quests here and there, level up my skill, level up my character, get the best arts, the best skills, do all these things, and then I realized and remembered, oh yeah, maybe I should beat the game and see the ending because everyone's talking about the ending. And yeah, you get that kind of sense of feeling lost in these games, and you might sometimes forget about the story. You might just put the story in the back burner as a secondary thing, and that's fine, that's totally okay. But to you guys who are prioritizing story, prioritizing lore and all that stuff, you're gonna get that in Xenoblade X, because we did get that in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, though maybe not as strong as all the prior games, but it's still there in Xenoblade X, and I would probably argue that the story, lore, and some of the characters are more interesting in Xenoblade X than compared to the Zelda games. And one more thing is that Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition this March is going to be coming with the extra story epilogue, and it's going to tie a lot of loose ends, it's going to answer a lot of questions, it's going to introduce us to more lore, more characters, more story stuff, more things like that. So maybe if you initially weren't someone who enjoyed the story of Xenoblade Chronicles X, maybe you will now with what Nintendo and Monolith Soft are trying to do with this extra epilogue story. So I guess we'll see about that. So anyways, what do you guys think about all this? Are you guys fans of open air Zelda, and do you see a lot of kind of similar DNA between these games? Do you see similar kinds of gameplay, exploration elements, world traversal elements, and other things like that between these three games? The two open-air Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and then, of course, Xenoblade Chronicles X. And if you guys are a Zelda fan, I really urge you, like I said earlier in this video, to maybe give this game a shot. It's probably not going to be something that you're used to. It's going to be something very different with its RPG elements and the combat and the different styles of characters and storytelling, but I really think that the open air formula and the traversal, the verticality, the exploration, the side quests, I think a lot of that's going to scratch the open air Zelda itch for you guys. And similarly to you Xenoblade fans who haven't played Xenoblade Chronicles X, I think this is going to be something that you really enjoy, and it's going to be something very different from the numbered Xenoblade games. And despite it not having as heavy of a story, I think you guys are still going to really vibe with this game. So let me know in the comments below what you think about all of this. Are you excited for Xenoblade Chronicles X? And what are you most excited for? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, this is Nishquake signing off. Have a great day. Go play some great games today, like a Xenoblade game or a open air Legend of Zelda game on the Nintendo Switch. I'll see you guys in the next one later. Hey guys, this is Nishquake. Thank you so much for watching that video, and if you enjoyed it, check out these two videos on the left and maybe subscribe if you haven't on your way out. And big shout out to all my channel members whose names you can see on the screen right now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.